Okay, this is WHN, and just recapping, we've got some high volume bars taken here as possible support and resistance, and particularly up a bit closer to the action, we've got some particularly high volume up bars that have knocked the price back, because smart money typically sell on up bars and buy on down bars. And so we were looking at around the 5 cent level for a breakout, which didn't. We sort of got a bit of a false breakout there. We didn't really get the testing that we wanted to see, and so we're having a look now to see where that might retrace to. We've got a shallow uptrend channel here, which I had drawn in previously, and it's sort of coming back to the middle of that channel at the moment. Last week, so we had high volume up. Next bar closed down after trying to push through that supply. All high volume contains a lot of selling, a lot of supply, and they're either trying to absorb supply from the left, or their smart money are offloading into that supply. And we might have had a little bit of both happening in this case, but in any case it's fallen off. But we haven't broken the low of our high volume bar here, a high supply bar. So that bar confirmed the weakness within the previous two, but it's on less volume. The next bar closed up, but it tried to go up on no demand and closed low, so that was particularly weak. Next bar, last week's bar is a bit more interesting. It's a little bit of testing, because it's supported at the 4.2. Then it's gone up, but it's gone up on no demand, and you'd have to say most of the bar is above the close of the previous bar. So I think it's good it's closed on the high. So we've got a bit of an element of no demand, and a bit of testing in the bottom, but a bit of element of no demand as well. So not particularly strong, other than the selling. There's not a lot of selling there at the moment. We might have a look at the daily on WHN. And we have this deep downtrend channel, which it's come back to the middle of the channel and bounced back up out of there. There's a high volume bars over here. It's down support at the bottom at the 4.2 cents. So just follow these, what's happened last week. We've had very low supply down bar. The volume's very low, so no selling pressure. It's gone down again, but still very low selling pressure. Volume's increased. It hasn't gone any further. It's tried to go up, but hasn't been able to. But the next bar it did go up, so it might have been absorbing a little bit of the supply that was there. But the next bar has gone up on quite a wide spread and followed the market up. But it's on no demand. There's not a lot of professional buying in that bar. It's more retail buying, and probably I'd say that's been dragged up by the majors, because that's really no demand there. So it's a bit of a weak bar. It's been able to go up quite easily because there's not actually a lot of selling down here at the moment. And but we do have a weak bars. Well, we've got this high volume bar, which is our most recent bar, and we're within the range of that bar so far. So what I would like to see is for it to retake out this 5 cents and test properly. We sort of did that, but we didn't get a proper test and confirmation, and it collapsed. And when it's tried to go back up through there, it hasn't been able to, because there's just too many trapped holders up there to take it through on retail buying. And last week was retail buying. It was not a lot of professional buying in last week's bar, so we'll just have to see how that goes. So I think you'll need a lot more volume to get through back and retake that 5 cents. But it has maintained this uptrend channel, and it's where we've had these two last pivot lows have come to the bottom of the channel. Our last pivot low, it has made a pivot low has come to the middle of that channel, so that's actually quite positive. So we've made a bit of a double bottom. We haven't made a lower low. Yeah, so I think that's, I mean, the Friday's bar was weak, but the bars before that weren't particularly weak. They supported on the 4.2. There was very little selling pressure there. And that's what's allowed it to be just dragged up with the majors, because there's no resistance to the price going up. But we'll need some professional buying to get it back over the 5 cents. So I'd like to see it retake the 5 cents and then see some testing at that, around that level for a longer term entry, because where it is now at the moment, it's pretty close to a resistance level, so it's not the best place to be going long. So take out that 5 cents and retest again, and then we'll see how we go. But yeah, it's a bit more of a retail action happening this week. Not a lot of selling, but not a great deal of demand either. So but it's come back to the middle of the channel and respected that. So let's see if we can, what we want, if we can go up next week on a bit more volume. Well, we might need a little bit extra volume to get through there, but that would be positive, I think, because that would be more like a test and confirmation, and it would negate the no demand aspect if we can close higher on the weekly chart. So yeah, so I'm still watching that 5 cents. That's where your highest volume supply bar was, and I particularly like that we haven't taken out the low of this bar here. We're still making lower highs, so let's get a higher high in place and then see where it comes back to test. But that's WHN. We'll have a look at IDL. IDL is an interesting one, because if I look at the daily chart, I've got this downtrend channel on the daily chart, and I've marked off some high volume bars for us to look at as well. We've got this particular high one here that's full of selling. We know it's full of selling because it's collapsed after that. So that'll be an area of resistance. Look, it's dwarfed everything else. So I'm going to try and get rid of that and see if I can, oh, there we go. Let's see if we had this bar here, which was the 29th of July, very high volume bar. Comparatively, it's broken down below that, but it's got back into there. We had some buying, some attempt to support there, high volume, narrow spread. It failed because too much supply present. Again, the next bar closes high, still trying to support. The next bar again on increased volume but closes high. And then the next bar goes up, has a bounce, and tests and pushes through, starts pushing through supply. So there's definitely some buying within that bar, and probably even within this bar as well, that's allowed it to knocked it up, and it's come back now and tested within the area of this bar. It's not really a good test, but it's come down hard and had a bounce. So there's been a lot of supply being absorbed in the bottom here. It's moved it up, and even here we had a high volume down. Smart money typically buy on down bars. That's created so they must have been absorbing the supply in that bar. There must have been some hidden buying at the bottom of that bar for it to scoot back up. And it's gone back up on Friday on high volume, but it's catching supply now from over to the left here within this area, and up thrust. Still on quite high volume. It's a bit of a no demand, but there is definitely some accumulation in the bottom there, so it's given us a bit of its it's given us a bit of mixed signals at the moment, but it's moved it sideways. We've had a positive response. This last lot of activity has brought it up. The last bar was weak. If I look on the weekly for IDL, we do have a longer term uptrend channel in place here, and then I've added the shorter term downtrend channel we're in at the moment. There's a high volume up bar. I'll try to go up. That's created our problem. That's a lot, isn't it? They don't go away. They stay there. They're full of trapped holders in there. That's going to take some working through to get over that. So I've marked that off as an area of supply. Then it's come down, come into oversold territory on this uptrend channel here. Gone up, test, but not able to penetrate through our highest volume bars. To the left, it's come down, knocked it back. The last bar is interesting because it's a test actually. It's closed middle, it's respected the bottom of the trend channel, and it's testing within the body of this shakeout bar at the bottom here. I'll just get rid of this so you can see. It's gone down on increased volume, closed high, and then sprung up. So there's accumulation definitely in the bottom here. It's come down and tested that supply. Supply is still quite high though, so they'll need to test again, I think. And that's why I think you've got a weak bar on Friday. There's just too much supply still present. So they may test again within the body of this bar. But if you start getting weak bars turn up over here towards the top of this channel here, then you'd be looking at shorting it. Because then the immediate trend is down, so when we're in a downtrend like that, we pay more attention to weak bars at the top than strong bars at the bottom. We do have a strong bar at the bottom there. We have a test, but still a lot of supply in that test, so we may test further into the body of this bar down here yet before it's ready to go. If there's too much supply present, smart money won't want to mark up the price if there's too much supply, because they don't want to be absorbing selling at higher prices. If they've accumulated low, they've got a target price up here or wherever their target price is. They want to be absorbing as little as possible before they get up there. And if they're not done accumulating, they'll spend some time accumulating anyway. And for that, they want lower prices. But there's your weak bar there. Look, it dwarfs everything else. Full of professional selling. And but I wouldn't short that bar, even though the daily is put in a weak bar. I probably wouldn't short that because the weekly actually doesn't look too bad. It's just because it's just put in a test, even though it's a bit high. The supply is still a bit high. There's still less selling pressure there than there, so than in the shakeout, but not a lot less, but still less. But I think they'll test further because I think there's still the supply is still a bit high in that area. So I'll just have to see how that goes, and then we're mindful of any weakness as it tries to rally on the weekly chart. If we can get some down bars now within the body of this bar, really low volume, they're like really low like that, like these. Then the next bar closing up a bit on a bit more volume, then that might be worth a watch. I think we might need to try and get a higher low in place first and just see how that goes. I think for longer term stuff, shorter term stuff, I'll be looking for a really low volume down bar, down tested bar, followed by the next bar up. So we can have a look at that for IDL. But here, no real entry there, long or short on the weekly or daily, but we are in a downtrend, so within a larger uptrend. and we do have a higher low and a lower high and a lower low in place. So, you know, we're paying more attention to our weak bars at the moment. So that's IDL. And I've got CHZ as requested. And what can we see there? I'll get rid of these bars. There's our problem bars there. See, really high volume up bars. I started selling on this bar here, and I might lower that bar as resistance, which is 695. You see how that's acted. Once it's broken through there, it's acted as resistance, and then you get your 2-bar reversals, and you get your no demand. You know they're not going to get through there on no demand. That starts acting weak. Then I'll just put in a bit of a channel as well. I might just put in trend channel there and bring that back to the intervening low. And center lines and a quarter line on. So that's the channel it's in at the moment. So it's sort of respected the parallels of the channels, come back and had a bit of a response to the middle of the channel. This was previously resistance, and I've broken through that, tested. So that's still in a downtrend. There's no question about that. Last bar came down on high volume. You see this bar on high volume came down, and they tried to support the market there. The next bar closed high. But I think they were just holding it up to keep complete distribution once, because we broke down through there. So we've done it again. They've tried to hold it up here. Next bar's tried to go up on a bit of no demand, a bit of testing, a bit of no demand. I think we're in an area where we previously were accumulating. Mark up the high volume bar there, the high of that bar, we've sort of dipped into that and had a bit of response to that. Low of that bar, we've got a few there. But it's still in a downtrend. There's nothing there that you know, I wouldn't short this stock, but I would if the stock was shortable, it was worth shorting. You'd be looking at any weak bars now, trying to come up and hit the top of this downtrend channel. You could enter short there, but it's broken this lower pivot low here as well, still making lower highs and lower lows. So that is still looking weak. Let's have a look at the daily chart maybe. Okay, we had high volume down, and it's broken down below that because the supply was too high, but the selling pressures come right off, and we're starting to get a bit of a mushroom bottom. Next bar went up on a bit of no demand, but it wasn't confirmed. The next bar went up quite well, so a little bit of absorption of the selling in this area here. So that's next bar closes high on its high. Volume's a little bit high, so possibly, but it needs to be to get through there. That's still not, you know, there's no entry there. You can't call that a reversal yet until it actually does reverse. I think the bar itself isn't too bad, except that it's got volume's a tad high, but it needs to be where it is to get through there. But I'd be very wary of any weak bars showing up on there. Let's go back to the weekly and have a look. How many bars back can we go? No, that's it. Okay. But that's still in a downtrend. That's not. We want to make a higher low now on the weekly chart, and then we can look at it if it's get some sort of uptrend happening or potential uptrend happening. If we got a confirmed higher low in place, we could draw an uptrend line and then have a look at what the price did next on that uptrend line. We don't have one of those yet. We've only got downtrend lines at the moment, unfortunately. So that's the CHZ. We'll have a look at TZL weekly chart. Okay, what have we got here? $3. Where is it now? 22 cents. Move it a bit closer. Got some high volume. See, we've got all these high volume spikes as it gets sold into, even at the bottom. See, we get these high volume down bars. See, it tries to push lower. It's a down bar. The volume's really high, so that's accumulation there. And here we get again. That's accumulation. Smart money buying down bars. As it's gone down and pushed lower, the volume is high, and the volume dries off. And test it. Up she goes. Down bar, volume high. So that's accumulation. No question about that. They've been accumulating within this range. High volume down bar, narrow spread. So how far back does this go? Let's have a look. That's dribbling along the bottom, isn't it? Let's have a look at this high volume bar here. I think that was our highest one. So if we mark the low of that high volume bar, see how it's acted as resistance there. Knock that one back. That was a weak bar there as well. That was probably, if I mark the high of that bar, that's what's that? $55.5 roughly. And that's what it's butting its head up against there now. And we've had a high volume. It's closed on its high. The next bar's come off on less volume, less selling in the next bar. Next bar is really low selling and hasn't stopped dropping. There's a very narrow spread. The volume's still quite high though, but as it's come down, so it's going down on high volume but on decreasing volume. So there's some buying on those bars as well, you'd have to say, because they're down bars on high volume, but they're less selling pressure than that bar there. So that's looks like they were trying to absorb that and bringing back to test because they're having trouble absorbing through there. So it's coming back to test. So on the weekly chart, it's actually not too bad. It's a bit hard to say because all that, high volume up bars are all potentially weak. And then the next bar closing low confirms it. So that's going to create its own problems because you're going to have a lot of trap supply there, but the selling's come off. So we'll just have a look here. I mean, if I mark the low of that bar, it's gone up, caught supply, but it's absorbed in the next bar, catching lots of supplies, come back, supply is less. That's a test, so that last bar is a sign of strength. But we wanted that to confirm by the next bar closing higher and a bit more volume, so we'll just have to see how that goes. But it's we definitely got a lot of accumulation in these down bars here. That's accumulation, no two ways about that. So I'll have a look at the daily. No, it's not giving me any, not letting me do it. Crashed on me, but anyway, there was accumulation on that bar.